So I've gotten a lot of questions with regards to the car's utilization, and it seems like I should talk about the general energy use that I have per given week and everything else, because I can tell you right now that that does change and vary wildly depending upon the weather. So the car's kilowatts used, things like that. Usually in the winter, on a daily basis, to commute about 60 miles with about, I would say, 40-ish of the 60 miles being on highway at about 60 to 70 miles an hour. You're going to use, in the winter, when it's like 30 degrees outside, approximately 18 kilowatts a day. In that ballpark, you'll be plus or minus probably a kilowatt. The worst I've ever had is actually caused by being simply stuck in traffic. So the traffic itself, you know, it's not really a problem, generally speaking, in an electric car, but when it's cold outside, you're going to be running the heat. So you're literally sitting there using energy to create heat. That's going to be a major increase in your overall utilization. That's why I tend to think in the winter months, you're kind of at a trade-off to where you're almost better off driving a little quicker than you might in summer months, because you're already going to be burning that, you know, between 4 and 7.5 kilowatts of energy to heat the cabin. And I think that it's just mostly wasteful if you drive too slow. If you drive too slow, you're just using the energy anyway to keep the cabin warm. That being said, now, in summer, right now, I'm experiencing the opposite swing to where I'm now utilizing closer to 10 kilowatts. A high is 12, maybe 12 and a half. The lowest I've accomplished so far, as it starts to get warmer, is about 9.5 kilowatts for my round trip, which is pretty amazing, needless to say. Now, that gets even more offset for me because I charge usually on lunch as well at a local mall that has a Volta charger, and usually in about 40 minutes on a level 2 charger that's 6.6 kilowatts, I'm getting about 4 kilowatts into the battery, approximately 4, and that 4 kilowatts is offsetting my trip to and from the mall and usually leaving me with about 3 kilowatts extra in tank, meaning that I come back netting a positive approximately 3 kilowatts. So that 10 kilowatt round trip, that 9 kilowatt round trip, that 15 or 18 kilowatt round trip is actually being brought down a little bit by that additional charging on lunch. Now, to throw some more in there as far as the cost. So our costs for electricity, factors included, can swing and vary a little bit between 11 cents and 13 cents. We're in like the 11 cent category area for the actual variable costs with electricity. You're looking at about 11 cents a kilowatt here in Chicago. So that nets out to approximately a full charge for us here being about $7, give or take a little bit. And that $7 in the summer will pretty much allow me to drive to and from work Monday through Friday, and I, in theory, would not even have to charge at home if I was charging on lunch. There would be absolutely no concern. I might be done with the week with like 15% battery left, something like that, 20% battery left, but I would definitely be able to make it. So I think that right now my commute to and from work is probably costing in the ballpark of $6, $5 Monday through Friday. And I think that in the winter months, when it's using almost 40-50% more power, it's probably closer to $10 a week, maybe $8 a week. And I think that's generally speaking about right. So on the weekends, we do pretty much only drive the Bolt. We don't drive gas cars on the weekends. We do have a gas car that we can drive, but we try not to use it at all, because honestly we don't need to use it, so we don't use it. The Bolt is more than enough. Like, for example, why it's more than enough. Right now, today, we literally have 247 miles rated range, and this is charging the battery to 80%. And I currently have, says 247 miles, max is 291, minimum is 202. It's way beyond my expectations in the summer. In the winter, it's pretty much my expectations, what I thought it was going to be, about the 3 miles a kilowatt utilization is what I anticipated in winter months. That's generally true, plus or minus like 0.2 kilowatts. in summer now, and for the past 1,300 miles, I kept the trip counter going. I've now averaged 4.6 miles a kilowatt for the past over 1,300 miles, which is getting close to about what I drive in a month. Now, that means it's 1,300 miles at 11 cents with a 5% loss, because that's what you get with level 2 of charging loss. It means it takes 5% more energy than you put into the battery to get it there. This 1,300 miles costs less than 40 bucks. So if you want a perspective, you can be looking to spend, like, literally, for most people, if you drive 1,000 miles a month, about $30 a month maybe in electricity. I think that that's fair, maybe even a little bit better. Right now we're pretty close to that, because of the swing, also with the fact that, again, I'm not charging completely at home. I'm also doing additional charging on lunch at work, which is helping make it even cheaper than it would normally be. So that efficiency's been great. Now, as far as trips go, again, we've driven to Wisconsin and back, and that was fantastic. Easily can do that with one battery, with one charge. Usually averaging, I think on the highway in good weather, you're usually going to get about 3.5 miles a kilowatt at about 70 miles an hour. You're going to do about that. If you go a little slower, then you're going to do substantially better. What I've found to be the secret sauce, and this is something that I don't think a lot of people talk about at all, is that in an electric car, there is very little incentive to drive faster than the speed limit. And I've learned this from having driven the electric car, and it's actually true in a gasoline car too, as far as I can tell, but no one really does this. Electric car is even more extreme, because generally speaking, all the GPS and everything you've got that's telling you how to get there, where to get there, if you use Google Maps or whatever, it's telling you how to get there and your time of arrival based on driving the speed limit. And there's no gimmick or joke to that. Literally, if you drive the speed limit, things like traffic lights, timing for traffic lights, all those things line up a lot better. And if you drive a little bit quicker, what may end up happening is that you spent more energy getting there, only to come to a stop at a traffic light you have to sit there and wait at anyway. And you can say that, well, what about the other way around? If you were to drive a little bit quicker and you would have made the traffic light, well, you'd still have expended more energy, but you would have swung one way or the other, potentially plus minus 2 minutes. That would have made essentially a net just zero. Maybe you gain a scotch, an itty-bitty little amount of time. You get there a little bit quicker. But for electric car, especially in a daily commute, drive the speed limit. I've gotten to the point to where, especially if the weather's good, I should preface that, because if the weather's worse, actually, I don't know, driving the speed limit may actually be less efficient than driving a little bit quicker. Just depends on the variables. But I've learned now from driving to and from work down 290, 88, you're better off just driving 55 than driving 60 and just staying at 60, because it doesn't really impact your arrival time. It just doesn't. That's how I've gotten to work. I've driven 27 miles and only used 4.2 kilowatts of power, with a good chunk, a good 20 miles of my commute almost being highway at 60 miles an hour. So I think that you can be efficient. I think the Bolt is very efficient, to be honest with you. Again, comparing it to a car that everyone likes to compare things to, the Model 3, I'm not lacking for range. I don't need more range, and I don't really know that even a Model 3 could be more efficient at the moment than what I'm currently doing. I mean, literally, I am exceeding the rated efficiency of the Model 3 right now. I am above it. So maybe it could do even better, but how much better would probably be very marginal. I mean, I'm literally able to apparently drive this car 246 miles on its battery, which means it's definitely more efficient at the moment than what a rated Model 3 would be. Anyway, that's my piece. That's my experience with the car. It's very efficient. It does save money over gas a lot. Basically, I pay basically 1 tank of gas a month for this car to drive, 1,300 miles. And that literally is a quarter of what I'd be spending if I was using gas, because gas would be approximately 4 times more expensive right now than it is to drive this car to and from my commute. Actually, in a daily commute, it currently costs me more most of the time in tolls than the actual cost in energy to go to and from my workplace. So that's kind of sad and pathetic, especially currently with what they want to do with changing the fees in Illinois, what it costs to own an EV, that I spend more in tolls. And in fact, I pay probably $40. I pay as much in tolls, if not more in tolls, a month than I do to pay for the energy that drives the car, which is crazy. So anyway, I want to hear what you guys think. Do you guys own a Bolt, an electric car? Are you looking into one? Post your comments below. Throw me some more ideas for videos. And if you can, smash the like button and the subscribe button and the notification bell, and keep coming back. We're going to have videos here Monday through Friday. Right now, we may or may not have one for Monday, but I think that we will definitely have this video up for Tuesday. Got questions? Let me know. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you. I'll see you in the future.